Welcome to KMET 1490 AM ABC News Radio and the Southern California Business Report with Yvette Walker, a show dedicated to highlighting successful Southern California businesses and the people behind them.
Welcome and thank you for joining ABC News and Talk, Southern California Business Report on ABC News, KMET 1490 AM, 98.1 FM, and KMET TV. I'm Yvette Walker, live blasting our signal from the center of Southern California, serving a population of over 25 million. Get us crystal clear and on demand by downloading the free live streaming app on Google Play and the Apple App Store. As always, a huge shout out to the team. Mitch, Bill, and Sean, I love you guys, and to our special advisory committee, which can be found on scbrtalk.com/advisory committee. Today, I have the very deep honor to introduce dear friend and just inspirational person, Dr. Devorah Lieberman. She is the University of La Verne's 18th and first female president with more than 3 decades of higher education experience, scholarship, and leadership. Since taking office in 2011, she has contributed to the well-being of the university students, the scholarly activity of the faculty, and the vitality of the surrounding community, while also advocating for engagement, inclusivity, and respect among all. She has dedicated her career to advancing 3 values: educating and cultivating future leaders, promoting inclusivity and diversity, and leading by example with integrity. President Lieberman currently serves as president of the Coalition of Urban and Metropolitan Universities, is chair-elect of the New American Colleges and Universities, serves on the executive committee for the Association of Independent California Colleges and Universities Executive Committee, is a member of the National Campus Compact Board of Directors, a member of the American Council of Education Commission on Inclusion, a member of the Board of Directors for Casa Colina Centers for Rehabilitation, a board member of La Plaza de Cultura y Artes, and a member of the LA County Fair Association Board. She graduated with her Ph.D. from the University of Florida, with her M.A. from San Diego State, and with her B.A. from Humboldt State. Wow, Dr. Lieberman, I don't know how you find time to do it all, but you do it all, and so beautifully, so eloquently, and so effectively. Thank you so much again for being with us today, Dr. Lieberman.
Thank you, Yvette. It's my honor. And that's a very simple sentence, but it's heartfelt. And I've watched you grow for 12 years. And aside from this program itself, let me just say, watching you grow professionally and personally has been, just an honor, a joy. And I'm filled with pride watching everything that you've accomplished.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Lieberman. You know that you have been a model in my life, and I just completely look up to you. I love you. You know that. And I'm so excited to talk about everything that you've done during the time that I've known you and beyond. So, you've been on the program before, and we've talked about what inspired you to pursue, a career in higher education and the philosophy that you carry behind that. Please share again what that path has looked like and what has inspired you to pursue the efforts that you have today.
Well, Yvette, that's a very complicated question and an even more complicated answer. So it's interesting because I was just reflecting on my path throughout my life. And here at the university, when someone retires, they are asked to give what's called a last lecture. And it's a reflection on your life. And I was thinking about this. So your question is what was the path? So
Right.
In a nutshell, I was thinking for this last lecture and my path, what were the major things in my life that influenced me to make the decisions that I made to be where I am today, as a president, as a mother, as a sister, as a daughter, as a wife. And it all started, and you know this, Yvette, but it all started as I'm thinking about sort of stringing the pearls throughout my life, and then now you have a necklace. When I was a little girl, my father would sit down the three children, myself and my two brothers, every Saturday morning, and he would read something to the three children called Pirkei Avot. And Pirkei Avot is a Hebrew phrase, and it means sayings of the fathers. And that Pirkei Avot was that he would read a sentence from a rabbi from maybe 2,000 years ago that was about ethics and values and how to live your life. And he would say to the three children, I must have been 8, 9, 10 years old when it started, every Saturday morning, he would read something and it would be a sentence like, to find a teacher is to find a friend. And then he would say to the three children, well, what do you think this sentence that this rabbi said thousands of years ago, to find a teacher is to find a friend? What do you think that means? And the three children would talk about it. And then he would say, and I would say something like, well, the most important thing in life is learning. And to learn, I need to sort of make that person special to me, like the teacher. And my brothers would say something. And he would say, okay, now for the next week, I want you to practice what that means. And then the following week, he'd say, well, how did you interact with your teachers? And did you make them your friends? And did you learn from them with humility? And then the next week, he would give us a new Pirkei Avot, a new saying or ethics or values. And that was my entire growing up life. So I think having those kinds of weekly ethics really shaped and influenced my choices. And then when I was in my formative years and a young adult, I began to see what I thought were injustices in the world in the way people were treating each other because of their religion or their ethnicity or their gender. And I remember very clearly my parents saying to me, you need to live by a phrase called tikkun olam, which means to heal the world. And all the choices that you make in your life have to be based on how are you going to make the world a better place. So when I got into higher education and I learned skills, communication skills, how people can cross lines of difference, those skills influenced me to say, if I go into higher education and become a professor in intercultural communication, working with students who can communicate across lines of difference, it's a small way I can make the world a better place. And then when I was offered this position as the president of the University of La Verne, the most diverse private institution in the state of California, I felt like I'd been preparing my entire life to be leading a university where I could have some influence on the direction of the university and making the world a better place for these students who would graduate and make their communities better. So that was my trajectory.
Absolutely. And, we were talking recently, and like I said, Dr. Lieberman, you have taken on the lion's share, right? And as a Leo, I guess there's a pun there, but the lion's share, right, of actually doing good, healing the world in your efforts, because you do it with passion, you do it with purpose, and you do it with urgency. Anytime the opportunity presents itself, you do not sit back, you do not hesitate, you act, you have the intention, and you ensure that it's put into motion. And that's what I love about you and your leadership. And that is why the moment that I met you, and I still remember the moment, I was in just complete awe with how it was you presented yourself and the amount of focus and just leadership that you demonstrated in that moment was so inspiring, and it has always resonated with me. And you've been a big part of, being a model for what I hope to be in the future. Obviously not a president of a university, but with the same attitudes, with the same perspective of wanting to do what is right and healing the world. So you are healing the world every day, all the time, on an enormous scale. And I just want to thank you so much for that. And, you know, it was made very, very clear when recently you conducted a fundraiser and were able to raise $2 million. Please talk about that today, Dr. Lieberman.
Well, Yvette, I love talking about these successful moments. And I also will never forget the first time I met you. You changed my life. So thank you for that. Every year, it was a great moment. It was a great night. So Saturday night, today is Tuesday. So just a few nights ago, we had our annual scholarship gala. And the gala is obviously annual. So it's once a year. And every penny that we raise at that gala goes directly to student scholarships. And this year alone, we gave $60 million in scholarships to students at the University of La Verne so that they do not graduate with enormous debt. So this scholarship gala is very important because it adds to the base budget with scholarships that goes directly to students, because it's all about giving so that students graduate without having the debt that people hear about, because that's not true at the university. It's so reasonable. So the gala was Saturday night, and we had three big outcomes of that gala. The first is we raised more scholarship money from paddle raises and people buying sponsorships than we'd raised in the 132-year history of the university. And that night, we raised $1.9 million. I'd like to say 2 million, but I have to be honest, it was 1.9. I think it was 1,920,000 to be exact. And that money goes toward our students, undergraduate and graduate. That was the first big thing. The second big thing was Supervisor Kurt Hagman from San Bernardino County and Jared McNaughton, who is the president of IEHP. You've probably interviewed him on this show, Yvette. So Kurt and Jared came up to the stage and they said that night, Saturday night, they were dedicating $1.5 million to the University of La Verne to create the Health Career Academy, so that we would have an academy that would certify students to educate students to get certified in entry-level health careers, so that they would, those are the most needed careers in the Inland Empire. So 1.5 million that night, plus the 1.9 million that night for scholarships. And then we announced that night the largest committed gift in the history of the University of La Verne. And the donor was there, not a graduate from the university. And it was for $18.1 million. So that night we announced 18.1, 1.5, and we raised 1.9. So it was a spectacular evening at the University of La Verne. I'm very excited about it.
Well, that is so much to be proud of, because, you know, having that support, having that funding to allow your students to have, you know, the resources that they need to be successful, and the monies that they can use to get out from under any debt, and, you know, allow them the freedom to move forward and be successful and pursue a beautiful career, hopefully locally, right? Because we don't want to do the brain drain. We like the brain remain, because we love our intellectual gold mines here, and we need to keep them here. And that's another thing that a phrase that you coined, Dr. Lieberman, brain remain. Please talk a little bit about that.
Well, Yvette, you have an incredible memory. Oh my gosh, that you even remembered that. So there's so many times that when students, young people, are in high school, they are encouraged, and there's nothing wrong with this, but they are encouraged to go far away from home and to get what is perceived as the most elite education they possibly can. And that's not right for every single student or for every single person. So we believe that we have, as you just said so beautifully, Yvette, a gold mine of talent right here in this region of 6 million people. So rather than having a brain drain where students leave and they might not come back to this region, why not have students who live in the region go to schools like the University of La Verne or other institutions and work locally, live locally, and after they graduate, whether they are physicians or physician assistants or attorneys or business people or did I say nurses or attorneys, all of these programs that exist at the University of La Verne and others, why not be educated locally, go back to your neighborhoods, and rather than just living in a neighborhood, you now have the skills, the diploma, the values, and the vision to lift your whole neighborhood. Then the whole region has social and economic mobility because these students have gone back to their neighborhoods into very, very successful careers.
Absolutely. And you've done it so well to the point where you and the university have been recognized. And please talk about those recognitions for social and economic mobility. That is just, every time I hear it, just is so exciting. Please tell us a little bit about that, Dr. Lieberman.
Yvette, how you remember all this, I don't know. But the two recognitions national recognitions, I think I'm the most proud of for the university was for the last several years, U.S. News and World Report, they rank institutions, 5,000 institutions, and they rank them across the country. Who has the greatest endowment? Whose family entering students have the greatest financial income in their own home? All of these things that aren't about student learning, it's about endowment and finances and other things. I am proud because this is a focus on the students, and they have this category called social mobility. And they look at entering students and students graduating, going on to get careers in the areas that they studied. So it's just not any career, but it's related to what you've trained them to do. So in the entire country, the University of La Verne for social and economic mobility was ranked 6th in the entire country, the number one private institution for students going on and having tremendous careers. I'm so proud of that because it's not about the university, it's about the students and what they go on to do. And that's what a university should do. Because the University of La Verne, I say we're a private institution with a public mission. And that means that we nurture, we care for, we educate, we graduate. And the public mission is we serve our region. The second award that we received, or recognition that we received, we were invited to the White House and we received a recognition for interfaith. It was a recognition for our interfaith work. And the president called us to the White House to give us this recognition because the University of La Verne is so steeped in how can people of different faiths or no faith come together and work collaboratively with empathy with one another, so that it's not about we all have to be the same religion, but how can we recognize the other so that we're all better together? And I love that because I think that's what we should all be focused on. How are we better together?
And that is why you are the incredible leader that you are today. And you have just the undying support of anyone and everyone that ever crosses your path, which is why you've been so successful and why you have been able to heal the world on the scale that you have. I'm sure your parents, are looking wherever they are, looking
Looking
down on
down
us
at
and very,
us.
very, yes, looking down at us and very proud. So thank you so much, Dr. Lieberman. So let's talk about, your efforts on growth and developing those pipelines for those critical career paths, because your work has been, as you said, extremely focused on that. And you don't just talk about it, you're doing it, and you have been doing it. Please talk about those efforts and what that looks like today.
I think that's pretty simple. And that is the philosophy that we have developed here is we're not going to tell the region what the region needs. We're going to listen to the region and let those leaders in the region tell us, one, what kind of skills they want in their employees, and what are the most needed professions in this region. So we were very thoughtful in asking and answering those questions. And so a number of years ago, we said, what are the most needed professions in this region? And the first thing that came up was health professions. And then we said, because we are 60% Hispanic, we're a Hispanic serving institution. That's a federal designation because of our percentage of Latino students. And we're 80% overall. We're 80% students of color and first generation. That meaning they're the first in their families to go to college and get a degree. We wanted that. We're proud of that. It wasn't a default demographic. It was intentional, and we're proud because this is serving our region and we look like our region. So we did these studies and said, what professions are the most needed? Health came up number one. And we didn't have any allied health programs. We had a number of health professions, psychology, athletic training. We had no allied health. And we said, for our student body, what's the most logical allied health program to have? And it came back physician assistant. Well, we said, okay, let's figure that out. So we created a physician assistant program, which is very successful today. And in fact, we started accepting applications last week. And in the first 3 days for 27 seats, this is a demonstration, an example of needed profession. So 27 seats, because with accreditation, you have to have a certain number of seats. You can't go more, can't have less. So 27. And we had in the first 3 days, 500 applications for 27 seats. So that's an example of students wanting to go into professions that they know they're going to have it'll live their values and they'll have an excellent profession. So health, physician assistant. Then we started RN to BSN. We're about to start a whole bachelor's in nursing. So we've been very, very thoughtful. And then in education, what are the most needed professions in education? Counselors, all kinds of niche areas in education. So we've started all of those. And the most recent one, which I'm very excited about, is we had a College of Law, and we also had a public administration program and another in the College of Business. We moved the public administration into the College of Law. It's now called the College of Law and Public Service. And when you graduate, you can graduate with a degree in law and a degree at the same time, same amount of time. Wow. They're integrated in public service. So if you're going to be an attorney, you have a grounding in service. And if you want to go into public service and city government, you have a law grounding. So imagine graduating with public service and law at the same time, how much more marketable you are. So always listen to the region and then create those pipelines so you're meeting the needs of the region. and you're listening to them.
Right. And that's, music to every student and every parent's ears, right? That have been saving up or that are assisting with the cost of these college programs, because the last thing you want to do is put your child through school and then not have anywhere for them to go, or have, a sustainable career pathway for them. Whereas you have completely flipped the paradigm on that. And as you said, allowed the region to tell you what you need and created programs that speak and are dedicated to that. Thank you so much, Dr. Lieberman. We are coming up on a break. So I'm Yvette Walker with ABC News and Talk, Southern California Business Report with Dr. Devorah Lieberman, serving as the University of La Verne president, sharing an update on new programs, capital projects, and focused efforts on growing critical career pipelines when we return.
Every 2 seconds, someone needs a blood transfusion. Be on the giving side. Livestream Blood Bank supports patients in 80 Southern California hospitals. Call 1-800-TRY-GIVING for more information and to set an appointment.
City of Hope is driven to making a difference in the lives of people with cancer and diabetes. We accomplish this by conducting innovative research and providing outstanding care. If you or a loved one has received a cancer diagnosis, go to cityofhope.org to learn more about how our innovative approach could change your outcome.
Cal State San Bernardino is home to the only school of entrepreneurship in California. With globally ranked degree programs, you can start your journey today to become a successful entrepreneur. Learn more and connect at entre.csusb.edu.
Hi, Ray Lance from the Diamond Center in the Claremont Village here. One of the coolest parts of a third-generation family business is getting to know the families we serve through generations. Once you experience our friendly service, our fair and transparent pricing, and our beautiful jewelry that we make to last a lifetime, you'll stick with us too. Come visit us in the Claremont Village or at Lantz, L-A-N-T-Z, diamondcenter.com and see what makes us different.
The University of La Verne is rated first in California for alumni satisfaction. Learn more about accelerated programs offered online and on campus in La Verne, Irvine, Ontario, Burbank, or College of the Canyons. Visit go.laverne.edu. The University of La Verne. go.laverne.edu.
Hi, I'm San Bernardino County Sheriff Shannon Dykes. If you're looking to start an exciting career in law enforcement and make a difference in your community, we are hiring dispatchers, nurses, deputies, laterals, and many more. For a complete list of our jobs and more information, visit sheriffsjobs.com.
Ontario International Airport is on to a better way to fly with over 65 daily nonstop flights to more than 20 major destinations and the easiest airport experience in Southern California. Visit flyonto.com/Ontario to learn more about Ontario International Airport today.
Welcome back. Yvette Walker here with ABC News and Talks, Southern California Business Report with Dr. Lieberman, serving as the University of La Verne president, sharing an update on new programs, capital projects, and focused efforts on growing critical career pipelines. Thank you again for being with us today, Dr. Lieberman.
You're welcome. My honor.
Beautiful. So prior to the break, we hit on some very critical topics such as brain remain and what that means, listening to the region's needs and responding by developing and creating those educational frameworks to support those needs, integrating interfaith and intercultural efforts to bring people together. And as I mentioned, you have done so much to heal the world, and you continue to do it. And I'm just in complete awe of everything that you've done and you continue to do. And prior to the break, you were talking about your College of Law, your PA program, your RN to BSN, and your College of Health and Community Wellbeing.
Yes. Do you want to hear a little bit more about the College of Health?
Yes, please. Let's
Okay.
hear more.
So we had 4 colleges for the last number of decades, and those were the College of Business and Public Management, the La Verne College of Education, the College of Arts and Sciences, and the College of Law. Did I mention that one? I don't think so. Law, education, business, arts, and sciences. So when we did this study and we said, what are the most needed professions in the region? And health came up as the most needed professions. We said, let's create a new college focused on the College of Health. And it wasn't just the College of Health, but you have to listen to the title, Community Well-Being. Because we said, if we graduate students who add to the community through health professions, then it will add to community well-being. Because we want our raison d'etre as a university to be about well-being of our students and our faculty and staff, well-being after they graduate of the region. So we took 9 different programs from the other 4 colleges that are focused on health, like public health, health services management, psychology, early childhood development, and we brought them all together and we created the College of Health and Community Well-Being. Then we said, where are we going to house that College of Health? Because we have to have nursing labs, physician assistant labs, spaces that are dedicated to these health professions. We said, oh, time to build a new building. Where should we build that new building? So I'm very excited about this. The University of La Verne's main campus is in the city of La Verne, and we have 9 regional campuses around Southern California, and we have our College of Law and Public Service in downtown Ontario. And then we said, as we talked to Ontario, the Ontario is really the gateway to the Inland Empire. And so many of our students come from San Bernardino County and Riverside County and surrounding regions beyond that, but from those areas. So we said, rather than building the College of Health and Community Wellbeing on the La Verne campus, we can build it in downtown Ontario, right next to the College of Law and Public Service. So we have renamed that whole downtown area where we're located and building this new building. We're calling it the Ontario Education and Innovation Corridor. So everything about that area in downtown Ontario will be about education and innovation. So it's not the same old, same old. So you'll have the College of Law and Public Service on D Street in Euclid, right downtown. Right next to it will be, we haven't broken ground yet, we will this summer, the College of Health and Community Wellbeing. There'll be a bridge that connects the 2 buildings so that the optics are working collaboratively. And right down in the center of all of that, Randall Lewis, who is a local, incredibly brilliant businessman, real estate developer, and philanthropist. He donated a significant amount of money, and we created right down there the Randall Lewis Center for Entrepreneurship, Innovation, and Social Impact. So downtown Ontario, you'll have entrepreneurship, you'll have law and public service, and you'll have all these health programs related to community well-being. It's a beautiful, magical synergy of academic programs and impact on the community.
Oh my
So we're
goodness,
excited.
absolutely. Yes, we're very excited. And so when can we see the groundbreaking on that project?
Well, we're raising money for it right now, and that's always top of mind for me. We're about halfway, 30% there, I would say, and more to come. So because we're trying to raise the money for this so that it doesn't have to ever come from anybody else's operating budget at the university. So I think we'll be breaking ground late summer, and it'll take a year-ish to build. And we know that fall 2025, absolutely, that's when students will be in the building. So it's exciting.
So exciting. Very exciting. Oh my goodness.
And
Very exciting.
I don't know any other institution that is staying laser focused on recruiting, retaining, graduating students who are so career ready with the values and the skills that are needed.
Absolutely. And so that was my background with you, right? So when I first met you, I met you alongside, members of the Inland Empire Hispanic Leadership Council. Our goal was to create a leadership program of local leaders that were interested in contributing to their communities in the areas of healthcare, education, economic growth, and public policy, and learning the mechanisms and the levers that exist to create a positive impact within their own communities. And, looking back on it now, we're now into the 7th year, I believe. It's now it's internationally recognized. And, the moment we brought this idea to you, you were immediately all about it. And within a few weeks had everybody lined up, all the instructors, PhDs and all, for the 8-week program, already dedicated, creating that curriculum and starting to generate those leaders to really take up the banner of those values within their communities, right, as working professionals. And at that moment, that's when it all kind of came together for me when we were working on that. And, just an inspiration of who you are and how passionate you are truly about these efforts.
Thank you, Yvette. Well, it's not about one person. We all know that. It takes someone who is not afraid of risk, who listens and says, okay, raise your hand if you want to help. And I always say, water the flowers, don't water the rocks, because after a while, the rocks, they're not going to bloom. So you have an idea, you get inspired, you water the flowers, and you get other people to raise their hands and say, I'm all in. And then you have a whole team, because nobody's going to do it alone. So that team makes the garden, and then the garden flourishes.
Absolutely. And so I'm just in awe again of your efforts, of your philosophy, and of your dedication to creating these very tangible outcomes and continued growth and trajectories that are going to keep, you and the University of La Verne, collecting awards and recognition for your outstanding work. So thank you for that. And, one of the things that we discussed also was the growth of your endowment and why that's important for the university. Please talk a little bit about that.
The endowment is kind of your bank account that you don't want to ever invade. But as you raise money and your endowment grows, it's not your operating budget, but it is your, I'm going to call it bank account. I don't know a better word for it. It's your savings. I'll say it's your savings that you don't want to touch. So the greater your endowment, the greater the Moody's is. If you take out a loan, the greater your ratings. If you're going to take out a loan and they see that you have a large endowment, then the interest rates are better because they trust that you've got a very secure financial state at the university. So I've been here 12 years, and in the last 12 years, I think our endowment when I came was 36. Last June, our endowment was 151 million. So we went from 36 million to 151 million. It takes a lot of work, but investing the time and the energy in increasing your endowment yields great rewards and perception of financial health for the university. It's very important. And then a certain percentage of your endowment can be dedicated back to your operational budget. And we dedicate that to student scholarships.
I love that. I love that. Thank you. So for everybody listening, if you are looking to become a student, if you're looking to get a higher degree, if you're looking to heal the world as Dr. Lieberman does every day, reach out to her, because they are working for you, for their students, and they want to make sure that you are successful, and they have every tool available to ensure that.
Thank you.
In our one of the programs also I want to touch on, because it's something that I have seen to be kind of a deficit in our region, and that is, programs and healthcare that is aimed at serving the neurodiversity population. But today and recently, you have opened a center for neurodiversity. Please talk a little bit about that and how that integrates into your broader programs.
That's a great question. And I always want us to focus on how we can be distinctive and how we can be relevant. So if you are distinctive, you're having a program that is a little different than other institutions. And if you're relevant, you can be distinctive, but not relevant. So why would somebody come to you?
Right.
And if you're just like every other school and you're relevant, they're not going to come to you if you don't have something distinctive. So the Center for Neurodiversity, a number of years ago, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, we came to an understanding that the brain, when you talk and when you pigeonhole people and say you're dyslexic or you're autistic or you have a learning disability, everything feels like a deficit. And people who are diagnosed with autism or ADHD or dyslexia, that's not a deficit. It's your brain is working differently than others. So we created this center called the Center for Neurodiversity, because the neuro is the brain and the diversity is different, saying everybody has a different way of learning. So rather than a professor or a teacher, an elementary school teacher, saying you're autistic, you have to go to a special class, rather than sort of labeling these students or these individuals, whether you're a child or an adult, as autistic or any of these on the spectrum, and then you've got to live with this label, why not have the teacher or the professor understanding the different ways children and adults learn, so you can teach the way somebody learns rather than expecting them to learn the way you teach. And the center works with the students, the center works with families, the center works with school districts, so that children or adults with neurodiverse ways of thinking are successful, and they are not relegated to something that's a deficit. I mean, we took this so seriously that when we built several years ago, just before COVID, we built a brand new residence hall called Citrus Hall. And we had the head of the Center for Neurodiversity go into all of the spaces and places in the residence hall to pick the right colors, the right furniture, the right carpets, so that people who are neurodiverse, they aren't triggered. And we want them to have every possible learning environment so that they are successful. So the entire dorm, the entire residence hall, the colors and the way it's designed was designed so that all these different ways of learning can be respected and honored. So I'm proud of that.
I'm very proud of that as well, and I'm very proud of your efforts to do that, because as a mother of a neurodiverse child, it is a challenge, to interface with the educators sometimes and say, these are certain neurodiverse ways that my child responds to certain stimulus, to certain environments, and, trying to work with them to say, how can we create a successful environment that will be inclusive and look at the opportunities rather than the deficits, right? And so for that, I thank you so, so much. And Dr. Lieberman, I hate even thinking about this. And I don't even want to say it, but is it okay? I have to. I'm going to spit it out. But there are plans. You have plans to retire from the University of La Verne, and I'm hoping and praying something changes and some miracle occurs where you don't have to, because you're doing an astounding job, and the shoes you have are I don't know that they're going to be able to be filled, quite frankly. But please tell us a little bit about what are the things that have been most meaningful to you, and what are your hopes for the future of the University of La Verne?
That is a great question. Well, the word retirement, and that I never thought I'd use that word. So I feel much more comfortable probably saying transition, because I haven't put that jacket on, that retirement jacket, so it doesn't fit yet. But July 1st, we will have a new president, and the board has asked me to stay for another year to be the advisor to the president, so I can introduce it behind the scenes. And I'm calling it transfer of trust, so that I can introduce the new president to all the local leaders, to the foundations, to the donors, a lot of international partners, so that it helps the new president succeed. So that's going to be one of my foci, because I love this university. I love its mission. And the next president will be the right president for the right time. And if I can help in a very small way that president to be successful, then the university will be successful. So that's part of this next transition. And as I look back at the university and I say, what am I most proud of? Oh, I think that's pretty obvious. I'm most proud of the students. I'm most proud of watching people like you, Yvette, that I've come to know, watching you flourish and ascend and thrive. So what gives me great joy is watching others succeed. And I think I'm very pleased with the physical transformation with buildings and spaces and places across the whole campus. Most of the buildings that have been constructed while I've been here have to do with belonging. I wanted us to create spaces where people say, this is where I belong, and I can achieve more than I ever imagined. So we built, I'm looking out my window, we built the Ludwig Center for Spirituality, Cultural Understanding, and Community Engagement, so the whole community can come together. We built the Randall Lewis Center for Well-Being, so there's places where people can come together for well-being. We have a campus center in the middle of campus now, so that students can gather. I'm very proud of all these spaces and places that reflect our values and people belonging. I'm very proud of our endowment, obviously. I'm proud of something that we created called the La Verne Experience, where it's an academic pathway for 4 years for undergraduates to really become part of the campus and to choose. I never say choose a major, like what's your major? I always say to students, major in a mission. What's your purpose? What do you want to achieve in life? We'll help you select the major, but major in the mission. So if you say, what are you most proud of? I'm proud of what our students have accomplished, what our faculty have dedicated their lives to. And if you said to me, what was the greatest challenge? You didn't ask me that, but if you were, probably COVID, that we didn't know if COVID was going to be for 2 weeks. Who knew it was going to be 2 years? I don't think I slept for the 2 years that COVID was, when everything was virtual. In 1 week, we had to go from face to face to 100% virtual. That was my greatest challenge. And what drove me through COVID were 3 things: keeping every student, faculty, and staff member safe, providing a good education virtually and services, and financial stability for the university. So we lived through that. We survived and we're thriving. And I'm proud that the university, it wasn't me, the university came together as a community and said, we have to support one another.
I absolutely love it. And you've done it with apparent ease and the constant grace that you do everything with. And, it's just another testament to your leadership, your dedication, and your heart of service for your students and for the community at large. Again, healing the world, Dr. Lieberman. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Dr. Lieberman. I'm so sad it's the end of the program, but I'm so thankful that you were able to share all of that with us today.
Thank you, Yvette. I was honored to be here, and I'm honored to know you.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to cry. But thank you so much, Dr. Lieberman. All right, everybody. For everybody listening today, don't forget to find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. Check us out on scbr.com. Upcoming events: SBD Cares and Right Energy Group invite you to attend their 2nd annual Leaders in Energy Summit, happening Thursday, May 11th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Bear Springs Event Center in Highland. Registration through Eventbrite is free. For more information, call Jerry Silva at 626-536-3435 or email to jerry@rightenergygroup.com. Save the date for Women of Hope's 4th annual Beauty Bubbles and Bites, scheduled for Thursday, June 8th at the beautiful Pond Oaks venue in Mount Baldy. It's an exclusive ladies' night out that features the latest in beauty and self-care, a signature drink, tasty bites, and fun accessory auction featuring all things women love. All proceeds benefit Hope Through Housing's Building Bright Futures Fund, helping local youth in our community to succeed in school and life. Specifically, funds support childhood literacy, monthly book distributions, and reading corners in Hope Through Housing after-school programs. You don't want to miss this ladies' event of the season. To get your tickets or become a sponsor, visit www.hthf.org/beautybubblesbites or contact Daisy Macias at area code 909-509-2094. Don't miss my interview with Dr. Gabriel Zada, a board-certified neurosurgeon and internationally recognized expert in brain, skull base, and pituitary tumor surgery, as well as a variety of endoscopic and minimally invasive neurosurgical techniques. Dr. Zada has treated over 2,000 patients with brain and skull-based tumors using both minimally invasive and open cranial approaches. As the director of the USC Brain Tumor Center, Dr. Zada directs a comprehensive, minimally invasive cranial surgery program, including endoscopic skull base, pituitary surgery, exoscopic, minimally invasive parafascicular surgery, and radiosurgery. Next week, we will have Assemblymember James Ramos, a lifelong resident of the San Manuel Indian Reservation in San Bernardino County. He is the first California Native American elected to the legislature. He was elected to his first term on November 6, 2018, and now represents the 45th district that includes the cities of Fontana, Highland, Mentone, Redlands, Rialto, and San Bernardino. Ramos is chair of the Assembly Rules Committee, the California Native American Legislative Caucus, and the Assembly Select Committee on Native American Affairs. Everybody, we will see you next week. You do not want to miss it.